Hey y'all, it's Andrew, the Elder Comeaux, giving my first ever video for League of Legends Shitbag Titty Fuck of the Week. Excited to be here. Just kidding. First of all, I want to say I love y'all, and sorry, Lincoln says hello. Uh, Also, I want to say I hate to follow John. Like, I had all these grandiose ideas of what I wanted to do, I felt like a tribesman looking at like a fucking nuclear warhead, being like, "Oh, that looks cool," and just have no know-how of how to do anything. But anyway, without further ado, into the questions. From Justin. Andrew, in what ways are you trying to appease the fantasy gods to get their blessings for the rest of the season? Um, so I've started a church of my own, our fantasy football league for my family, aka the Fantasy League, um, and it's going pretty well. It's not nearly as electric as this is, obviously. The other thing I've been trying to do is committing myself to Santeria, which, for those of you that don't know, does involve wearing all white and committing a bunch of animal sacrifices. So there's a big pile of chickens stacking up in our backyard. Lincoln's been eating good. There's blood everywhere, and I'm really hoping the fantasy gods take that soon. Second question from Steve. I've known the Como clan as top notch drinkers, ones who are always invited to my family's asada. Thanks, Steve. Based on our own personalities in the league, what alcoholic drinks, brews, cocktails, etc., would each legend from the league be? First of all, cheers, Steve. We are top notch drinkers, barring Lincoln. All right, so here we go. Jacob, I think I've assigned as battle shots, which for those of you that don't know, John and Jacob played a lot of video games back in the day, and in order to prepare, they would do battle shots. Um, the reason I chose that for Jacob is because it's always kind of a shock, right? It's always kind of abrupt. Uh, Namely, like shitbag titty fuck is like just a very shocking name to most, but it always makes me smile. Um, I'm always looking to have one, it puts me in a better mood. And anytime I go to a party and someone says battle shots, you bet your ass I light up. Moving on to John, I see him as a Manhattan, which I do happen to be drinking right now. Cheers. John's a Manhattan because there's a lot of depth there. It's not an on the nose drink. There's plenty of flavors to dig into. You got sweet vermouth, dry vermouth, bitters, but ultimately it is whiskey, and it's a strong drink. But it's the vermouth kind of smooths it out a little bit, and I spend a lot of time with a good old Manhattan, and it's one of my favorites. The other part is it can be classy. You can have it up in a martini glass, or you can have it down on the rocks, which is how I'm doing it now. Steve, Steve is spiked eggnog. He's just he's just big, warm, inviting drink. But every once in a while, it'll catch you off guard if you put a little too much whiskey in there, a little too much rum in there, and it'll be a little kick in the head. He'll spout off every once in a while, which is fun. Rob, I thought about his gin and juice. Obviously, big hip hop guy. Everyone knows gin and juice from the Snoop song, and it's also just not my normal rotation. But anytime I come across it, it's what a treat, man. When I reacquaint myself, holy smokes, it's always such a good time. Moving on to Alejandro, I forget what John called him, Senor Aleja. I put him down as martini. As many of you have heard, martinis are like boobs. One isn't enough, two is just right, and three is too many. And sometimes when you have three, what winds up happening is there's a broken window on the door of your Airbnb. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of fun, but sometimes he's really good at making you act crazy. For Thai, I had a Paloma. My favorite liquor is tequila. Oh, by the way, Paloma is tequila and grapefruit juice. And so Tequila is my favorite liquor. It's just a solid foundation. Love it. Um, and it's not basic. It's not your margarita that everybody knows about. It's not tequila soda that, I and a lot of other people drink as they're kind of standard. And it can also be a little bit bitter every once in a while. You can you can have a particularly sour grapefruit on times when the refs are calling calls against Ty, and sometimes a little salt on the rim when when he's going through the draft order and throwing disparaging people. Also, there were no Palomas in my wedding, which made me sad. Tim, Spotted Cow Beer, Milwaukee born. It's rare that I come across it, but when I do, god dang, is it such a treat. Easy drinking, it's smooth, you know where you're getting. You can take down quite a bit and still feel great. Um, and just a solid brew. For Devin, I have a rum and coke. It is one of my oldest favorite drinks. Always a treat. Try to have a rum and coke on a sunny day and not smile. It's wrong. And you know, Dev and I actually used to drink these together back in the day. Um, Justin, I had a Green Boy, which for those of you that don't know is a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It's delicious. Like Tim, it's easy drinking. It's just always a treat. It's on the Mount Rushmore of beers for me. You always know what you're getting. It's dependable. Um, Again, it puts a smile on your face, and probably one of the best beers on the market, as I said, available. For myself, I described an old fashioned. Um, Again, there's whiskey in there, so it'll get the job done. But there's some sugar, and it's I don't know, a little muddled at the bottom there with some oranges. So yeah. Devin's question: explain a serious life moment when you should have been paying attention, but instead were thinking about fantasy football. For me, this is just work. Like I do love my job. Um, uh, it's just like I was in a meeting the other day, and I was leading the meeting, and it was with important people, and yeah, I was thinking about mine and LA's trade, and just like really trying to think through it, and I got called on, and I blanked. I had to ask them to repeat the question in front of, like I said, some pretty big people. So that's pretty much what it is for me. It's just fantasy is an escape from reality, which is work. Jacob with a very toxic question on a few levels. Your background as a senior financial planning and analysis manager gives you an edge with financial forecasting. One would think some of these skills are transferable to spending and budgeting, FAB, and acquiring key backups. Are you good at your job, or are you just the Pacheco of your company? Um, I hate this question, but I will answer the first part with just facts. The fact is that I've been with my company for just under 3 years, and I've received three promotions. Part of that was just due to like the program they created for me when they hired me. And every review I've gotten, I've had two annual reviews. I exceeded expectations. Also, in terms of the Pacheco hate, I am Pacheco of my company. Pacheco, I looked into it, is a positive force in the locker room. I'm very positive at work, and he works his ass off, and I work my ass off too. And I do think, for the record, that Pacheco is about to have a week now that Reishi is back. Okay, John. The crime is not only being a shitbag titty fuck, it's being the lowest scoring shitbag titty fuck of the season. I mean, John, Glass House is my friend. To account for this crime, you must spend a week in solitary confinement. However, you may choose to spend more time there. For each week you spend in solitary, you can steal a player from any of the league's other teams. How many weeks do you spend alone in the dark, and which players do you steal? Um, I mean, the real answer is I don't spend another week there, man. Like, no, I can, we can get there. I can do it. But also, like, a week is such a long time to just like pause your life. The more exciting answer is probably two, right? Like, I probably spend 2 weeks there for Bijan and James Cook. Um, and then I come out as a fucking crazy person because what the fuck do you do in solitary? It's so much to me. Tim asks, if you had to let someone from the league name your child, who would it be? Um, so this one was kind of fun because I discussed with Lily, but anyway, I'll walk you through my thought process. So what first came to my mind was Jacob. Obviously, he's my brother. I've been his big brother his whole life. Um, the issue there is that he has one child, and that child shares a name with my only really significant girlfriend aside from Lily, Claire. So he's probably out on that one. The next one would be probably Devin. Um, I really like Devin's approach to naming girls. Like he likes boys' names for girls, like Charlie, for example, which I think would be rad. However, I don't think that Lily would really be that into it, and it is a 50-50 consideration. So unfortunately, Dev's out too. Um, where we landed, because I had a name that popped into mind after kind of having these considerations, and then Lily kind of had a similar thought process. Was John actually? John is very well read. You've seen his shitbag titty fuck videos. He's very articulate, and I think he finds a balance between tradition and being unique. And so it was kind of cool actually. Lily and I both landed on John as being that individual. So yeah, should Lily and I lose our ability to name our own daughter, John? Interested to get your input. Finally, a question from Ty. If you could rename the Shitbag Titty Fuck Award to anything, what would it be and why? I had a few thoughts on this. I was listening to Sturgill Simpson recently, and you can have the crown. They call me King Shit of Turd Mountain. I think King Shit of Turd Mountain made me chuckle, so I like that one. Um, Thinking through it more, Al Michaels' Disappointment of the Week made me laugh. Tua's headstrong starts. Also, there's something there with Tua and just like being fucked up. Drake's favorite score of the week. We know he likes low numbers in regard to his passions, I guess. The Gatriot is a simple one that just made me laugh. And then my one that I would suggest to land on one is Team Taj Brooks, because it was it's inside law. It's just specific to law. Everyone kind of recognizes it, and it feels harmless because he was dropped before the season started. So that's what I would get. That's what I would recommend is TTB Team Taj Brooks. I did not get a question from Rob nor Aleja. Um, Doors open. But anyway, love y'all again, and yeah, good luck this week to everyone but my opponent.